And from an NLP perspective, and from respecting the other person's model of the world, this value level thinking enables it even further for you, Chad. Now, today's the other truth, because a person who's always only been inside the container of four, for them, what I do and the way I do it could be seen as wrong. It could be their truth. Intimate relationship has more purposes than just intellectual. You can challenge the partner from time to time. Then linguistically, how do you do it that doesn't create negative IRs?
So my wife and I have had conversations through the past, because she's had some experiences where people use this term where they say, well, that's their truth, to my wife. You need to be respectful to their truth. And her response is, there's only one truth. Stop, about their truth. She kind of thinks it's kind of crazy talk when they start talking about their truth. But then when we were talking about quantum physics yesterday, and whether you're looking at something as a particle or a wave, well, which is it? Well, it seems like based on that theory, it depends on how you're observing it, because both truths are possible based on how you're observing it, based on quantum physics. So in theory, where she doesn't like that term, I believe that possibility exists, that there could be two truths running parallel based on the observation. Does that sound accurate?
That sounds accurate. That sounds accurate. And that's why we bring that in earlier part of this, so that you have a more open thinking around that. Absolutely. And from an NLP perspective, and from respecting the other person's model of the world, this value level thinking enables it even further for you, Chad. Now, to think there is the other truth, because a person who's always only been inside the container of four, for them, what I do and the way I do it could be seen as wrong. It could be their truth. So there's that factor as well.
So hopefully by the end, we'll learn how to communicate with somebody who has that belief, because even though my belief or value system is changed now during this sort of experience, how do you explain that to somebody who's not yet ready to hear that? They're set and looking at the world that there is only one truth. And so it'll be interesting, the tools we learn how to communicate and be more.
Well, that goes back to Callan's point. Now, there is there is tools, so to speak, but at the end of the day, there also has to be acceptance and understanding of their model of the world anyway. And if you're talking about a relationship, it's quite common. I'm not saying that's the case in yours, but it is fairly common for 5-4 relationships to exist and work really well, because an intimate relationship has more purposes than just intellectual. If anything, it's a polarity issue. How do you maintain that polarity in chemistry, right? And one of the ways that I've found is not imposing on the partner. You can challenge the partner from time to time. Then linguistically, how do you do it that doesn't create negative IRs, negative kinesthetic? All of the stuff you've already been learning, I think, going back to Callan's question, is accepting and meeting them more where they are, because the commitment is already there. If you're expecting them to change it, look at the amount of work it's taking for us to change here. Look at, you've done prac, and then you have to do this, then we have to do this work. And then we expect people who are outside this to change overnight. Not going to happen. And they may not even, it's very hard for people to see these views. They might intellectually process and think, okay, I get it. If you kept it high chunk and said, I have specific data or specific study that I've done that confirms that multiple truths can exist, and then people, and if you try and, this is reason for, you can have that high chunk conversation, but once you start imposing and you start expecting to be a certain way, you change the energy of that relationship. Yeah. That's what I would say on that. It's complex, I know, the intimate relationship. Why don't you get my point? All right.